Good afternoon, class. This is your classmate, Makasia Jackson. This is assignment 7 for Religion 100. And today I'm discussing Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Ali. Ayaan Hirsi Ali. I hope I'm getting it right. It's a pretty name. And she is a very humbled woman, very kind. I liked her. I like what she was bringing to the table. She's very open about a lot of going on in her culture and just in a world in general. So yeah, let's start it off. I'm gonna start off with her interest and what I gathered from. I watched about 6 videos. She's big on enlightenment, ideas, education, philosophy, individualism. And one of her values is individual freedom. So to have the interest in enlightenment because of where she came from, because if you watched her videos, she experienced a military coup as a young girl in Somalia. And then they went into Sharia law. She had to be in a strict Muslim culture where women had to be submissive to anybody, husband, brother, a random guy in the street, any higher power. So I look at all those experiences she went through that took away her freedom, that took away her innocence, that forced her into a marriage she didn't want to be in. And you can look at the ideas and beliefs she had and how she is where she's at right now. Pardon me, I need to get this dog hair off my laptop. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, the Enlightenment, and if any of you know about the Enlightenment, that's, you got your John Locke and everybody, and just the French Revolution, the ability of not truly getting away from tradition, but you are getting away from tradition, but a mix of it, but with being rational and the individual choice and the freedom, just a higher echelon of thinking, actually using your mind to do good and define purpose. So yeah, there's your enlightenment. That's what really got me going. It's like, oh, okay, she's big on the enlightenment. You could give or take what you think about the enlightenment. If you look at the French Revolution, there was a lot of bad stuff going on during that, but we're not here to talk about that. But we talked about her experiences, how she witnessed a military coup and how she had a very awful experience of the Islamic culture, the Muslim faith, that led her to where she's at now. Now she is a reformer. She writes about Islamic extremism and how to reform from it and to get away from that faulty thinking. And in that, so the institutions I have for her is, one being, Islam, and another one's the American Enterprise Institute, which is if none of you know, it's for policymakers. It's where they push for policies to help America. I guess you could say they're pretty progressive. It just depends on what the take is and what the policy they're trying to do, but they lobby for a lot of politicians to push policies. But you give or take with that one. We're not here for that. But I go back to her values. Her and I agree. I believe in individual freedom. This is what our country was founded on here in America, was individual freedom, where the government had no right to take that away from you, because the American people, we the people, are the government when you read the Declaration of Independence. It's the reason why the Founding Fathers demanded individual freedoms, because of what they studied in other countries and what was going on in Europe with the kings, or what the Catholic Pope was pushing all over Europe. And you look at all the dictators throughout the centuries of we've been existent in Africa, Asia, the Middle East. The individual freedom to do as you please, but long as it's not harming you in a way that's going to harm others. There's there's a fine line of that. That's why our founding fathers said to understand our country and our way of life, the Constitution, you had to be a moral sound based person. You had to have a sense of God. So individual freedom, all about that, because she had that individual freedom taken away as a young girl in Somalia from a military coup, Sharia law, forced into a marriage, had to be submissive to people that may have didn't like you. They could have beat you, they could have stoned you. It didn't matter who it was. You had to be submissive as a woman in that culture. If a lot of you don't know about that, it's a very interesting culture. My uncle saw it firsthand when he was deployed in Baghdad. He never wants to go back there again. Another value of hers that which I value and I value of her is what I'm always trying to do is seek knowledge. You should never stop learning. You should always seek knowledge. I wish I could just show you guys my library. I got books all over here. I have a unique desk where there's a bookshelf built into my desk. So I got books all over there. I got educational magazines and I got books on my phone. And it's not even, and you don't get knowledge just from books, books, documentaries, your professors, even your teachers, your parents. Anything that you learn that's going to help you become a better person is knowledge. A random stranger in the street, let's say you broke your tire, you got a flat tire, and you were never taught how to change a tire. That one random guy might help you out, and he's going to teach you, like, hey, this is how you do it, so if you ever need to do it again, you know how to do it. So, seeking knowledge is how you grow. So to have that ability of her to seek knowledge is just awesome. She values a liberal democracy. This is where I get a kind of attention and a ambulance. America, you like it or not, we're not a democracy. We've never been a democracy, and we're definitely not a liberal democracy. Even though there is a extreme push to push it that way, we're not. There's nothing wrong with liberalism. It's just when you're going so far at it, there's a point when it becomes destructive because we're seeing what it's doing to our society. Our society is decaying right now with a lot of these liberal movements and policies. It's not helping but making things worse. Liberalism is individual freedom, but not to the point where you're trying to enforce it by the government onto Americans like myself that believe in individual liberty. And I get her point of a liberal democracy. She wants democracy because, what she grew up in. But the United States, we're a constitutional republic. You have to read the Declaration of Independence. You have to read the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, and all the ancient scholarly work from our founding fathers and like the beginning, the first Americans to settle here and everything. We're just not a democracy. Even Aristotle warned us what happens in democracy, because in democracies, you're going to end up to the point where you get another coup and a corrupt government. And kind of what we're seeing now in our current state of government. We're not, professors can argue this all day, but we're never going to be a democracy. Just because you say it is, and, this is what scholars say, that's not a democracy. America was supposed to be a constitutional republic. There is a difference. But I understand why she wants a liberal democracy, because of what she experienced, her beliefs, And more women tend to swing more liberal. It's more about, it's emotional base, and that's true psychology and philosophy. Women think that way. They think more about emotions, more about feelings. I get it. I understand it. But a liberal democracy could be toxic to the times too, because I've seen the videos of her watching when there was your traditional law-abiding Muslim who isn't radical, extremist. He just practices it, and they kind of get upset with her. And I forgot the other lady we were watching, the other lady too that talked about liberal democracies a couple of videos ago. But the liberal democracy also attacks the traditions of one's long-term peaceful religion if they practice it. So that's that's my tension with that. So, you got her human beliefs, which I also like about her. You know, human progress. Yes, we should be progressing as an individual self, to get better, to do better, to better your community, to better your state, your nation, to better your religion if it's going down a way like whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what it's supposed to be. A lot of people want to attack Christianity, but they never pick up the Bible. And that's one thing I actually liked about Ayaan. She talked about Jesus in a very great, humbled way. She says, you know, because she said, the book, what's it, Muhammad the Prophet, and what it says in their book about certain things that you will not find in the Holy Testament of stoning people. Okay, Old Testament is completely different, but it's still the same book. It's just that's why Jesus came. But I'll just fast forward. She just said, if you're gonna follow a God, follow Jesus Christ. And I smiled at that, because if you actually read the New Testament, Jesus Christ never talks about being violent. He never says to repay someone of hate or anything. He teaches you how to be a good person and to fight it with love and to find other ways to show your faith, because our kingdom isn't here, it's somewhere else. So just a human progress, and just trying to get better. To get human progress, you need to seek knowledge. You need individual freedom. To get individual freedom, if you need that, that democracy for a little bit, all right. But, get your constitution, the power to the people, not the government. You're going to get your human progress, That's why America's thriving all these years, because we're a nation of human progress. We are an experiment nation. We just came out of nowhere. We migrated here, fought many war power countries, and here we are in the 21st century. Another belief of her is must be able to change your mind at all times. I agree, but I disagree. Yes, you should change your mind if it's very toxic or something that could destroy you first, or once it destroys you, or gets broader and destroys others. But there are some things you just don't change your mind on. I'm not going to change my mind on about Jesus Christ and God, because if I change my mind on Jesus in my holy testimony, that is a sin against Jesus, and I lost my faith in him. And we could go on other reasons why that, but yes, I agree, but also disagree, because there's just some things you just, as a human being and where you come from, your way of life, your traditions, is like, no, I'm not changing that. For me, I have my own set ways where I've changed a lot, but there's just some things I refuse to change because they're not harming anyone and they're not harming me. But if they are harming yourself first and possibly others, then I can understand, be able to change your mind at all times. I get that. Faith in human reason was another big of her beliefs. I don't have faith in human reason. My faith is in God. I think that's where we struggle as mankind, and why we end up in the ways we do with like a liberal democracy that they're trying to push in America, because we put our faith in humans, faith in the government, faith in politics. It was never supposed to be that way. When you read our Constitution, it was supposed to be faith in God, and faith in God with your other Christians and your other godly people. Is when you have faith in God and faith in Jesus and you're around the like-minded people, you're going to have faith all together and you're going to make a country thrive. I don't have faith in human reason. When I was being persecuted for my court case, for something political, my faith wasn't in the judge. My faith was in God. My faith wasn't in my lawyer. It was in God, because I already knew what they were going to do, because I understand what they did to Jesus first. You can't have faith in human reason. You got to have faith in a higher power then when you do, then human reason makes sense and why things happen the way they do. But it's still a great belief for her. There's a lot of things I agree with her on, and there's just slightly stuff I just don't I disagree with, and they may be a little political, maybe. But that's all right. We're not perfect. We're not supposed to be the same. I learned a lot from her. I actually do. I would watch more of her videos. She's very wise. Okay, her practices. This is what I really agree with because it's in our Bible. Live by trial and error, trial and tribulations. That's all over the book of the Lord in the Bible. You know, you're living by trials and tribulations and figuring out errors you've done, the sins you committed. But when you do something good or you do something bad, and it all makes sense when everything comes together. It's like, okay, I did this, and this is why I'm feeling this way, and this is why I'm being punished because I did something immoral and something against God. Or when you do something, it's why you're being put. You know, for me, I just went through a major trial, court-wise, and super politically motivated by an unlawful government in this nation, but my faith was in God, and this was God's trial to me to keep my faith in God because God was going to show me He was never going to let anything happen to me, and He wasn't going to let me go to prison for something political and for standing up for a country. So yes, you have to learn by trial and error in life to get human progress, to seek knowledge, to get your individual freedom. And another practice of hers, I exercise critical thinking. And that's why I major in political science and I double minor in philosophy and psychology. I'm just a deep human thinker. I want to know why. I want to understand why Stalin did what he did, why Hitler did what he did, Pol Pot, why some of our American politicians and over these years have done great nasty things. You just have to know why. When you do that, to break it down, you have to look at their reasoning. Where did they come from? How were they brought up? Who taught them? Who was changing their minds? But not even that, just critical thinking. You know, sometimes you just, and that's always been a struggle for me too, but sometimes, you know, you're caught in the heat of the moment. You just got to stop. And you have to really critically think. If I do this, is anything going to happen to me? Am I going to get hurt? Am I going to hurt someone? Am I going to get in trouble by the law? Or, you know, okay, is this a good, if I do this, is my money going to be all right? You know, anything. But yes, in order to thrive, you have to critically think. I mean, Tom Brady, let's go to sports. Tom Brady. You look at professional athletes. What their job is, especially at the quarterback position, that is critical thinking. And it's just in under 3 seconds, ball snapped. Okay, Hughes open. Boom, boom, boom. No one's open. Do I toss it? Do I run? So I don't get sacked or hurt myself or get forced to fumble. You know, you got to practice those critical thinking skills. You know, I had to critically think all the time, especially being an infantryman in the Marine Corps. You know, a loaded firearm, rounds going down the range, you're training. You have to critically think at a fast moment. You have to practice those things. Yeah, I know everyone's not the same depending on the job, but yeah, that's a great practice to have. You know, it leads to her values, seek knowledge, individual freedom, human progress, you know, her faith in human reason. Oh, yeah. And it goes back to her number one entrance is enlightenment, ideas. And another practice of hers is reformation. You know, she wants to reform how Muslims and Islamics think, how the way of life, you know, especially for getting individual freedom for the women that she's advocating for because of what she went through as a young girl. That no young girl should ever have to go through that in the country. A military coup, then strict Sharia law. It's just, and a lot of those countries that over there, you know, they might not be open socialist or communist, but they kind of run on those ideas. So, but we're not going to go there. But yeah, she just wants to reform people that just have faulty thinking, that could be radicals, that are causing terror attacks, that are disrupting neighborhoods, countries. And That's what she's been thriving on. That's why she writes all these books. She does all these interviews. She just wants to talk about that, and that's what I got from her. And I hope you liked this video and you liked what I agreed with and what I kind of challenged with disagreements. But other than that, I think you should check out this lady. She's very humbled, very intelligent. All right, thank you, class.